it's late at night when I do this stuff. I really can't come up with something more clever. I guess I could have come up with something more clever during the day, but I do my naming when I'm doing the thing, and I got stuck with story time. Anyways, it's what it is. It doesn't need to be clever. It's super straightforward. The idea here is, if this is your first episode, I know that it's super stressful in times like this. My anxiety has been at like a 10, I think, since all of this really started kicking off into high gear, and I have a really hard time sleeping at night when I'm anxious. I assume everybody has a hard time sleeping when they're having issues with anxiety. But when I do that, I usually will get out of bed and go somewhere else and read sort of for a bit to give my like anxiety, like compulsively contemplating complete doom brain something else to focus on. And I thought I would share that with you guys with some reading sessions. So I can't see any of the comments while I'm doing this. The phone is too far away, which, and I know it kind of takes away an immediate element of the live aspect of it, but also too, there's no real engagement expected on this. I don't think of it so much as a book club. If you love the story and you want to talk about it, I'm always happy to afterwards or during the day, whenever. But I would find it just as successful if you turn this on and sort of doze off in the middle of it. I think that would be a good outcome too. One thing I want to mention before I started tonight, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I help produce a podcast called A Arthritis Voices 360. You can find the podcast by searching A Arthritis Voices 360 wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can go to their website, which is aiarthritis.org. And I think the podcast is just /podcast. But we did a couple episodes this week on COVID-19 and sort of, their community is sort of autoinflammatory arthritis related diseases. And so we had my wife, Danielle, was on talking about her experience as a patient with this stuff and some of the things that she'd been learning about whether she was more or less at risk as a result of her issues with arthritis and all of that. And I just finished doing the show notes on an episode that will go up on Sunday, so tomorrow morning, with Dr. Kim and Matt Eisman of the Ninja Warrior host fame, who it turns out I had no idea was a doctor. And so they kind of came on and talked with Tiffany, who hosts the episodes regularly. And there's a lot of really, I think, interesting information contained in that. So if that's something that you're interested in taking a look at, maybe do that tomorrow. But for tonight, we'll focus on reading and things that are not that. So I'd been reading from Cory Doctorow's book, Radicalized, and I decided to switch up. I'm going to go into a book, which is Richard Kadrey's Sandman Slim. If you like Constantine or Supernatural or any of those kind of like sort of, anti-hero, supernatural sorts of shows, I think that this is a book that you'll really enjoy. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I used to hand sell the heck out of this because I had a lot of fun reading it. But the description of the book is supernatural fantasy has a new anti-hero, Sandman Slim. Life sucks and then you die. Or if you're James Stark, you spend 11 years in hell as a hitman before finally escaping, only to land back in the hell on earth that is Los Angeles. Now Stark's back and ready for revenge and absolution and maybe even love. But when his first stop saddles him with an abusive talking head, Stark discovers that the road to absolution and revenge is much longer than you'd expect. And both heaven and hell have their own ideas for his future. Resurrection sucks. Saving the world is worse. Richard Kadrey's been writing this series for, I guess as long as it's been since I last worked at a Barnes & Noble. So maybe like a decade. I wonder what the publication date is on this. But he's about 10 books into the series. So if you like this story, 11 years now. He's about 10 books into the series, so if you like it, they're all available. They're wonderful. They're one of the titles that every time they come out, they're on my list to acquire. So yeah, Richard Kadrey, Sandman Slim. Let's get into it. Oh, it's got quotes at the beginning. I like quotes at the beginning of books. I don't know about you guys. Just judge of vengeance. Grant the gift of forgiveness before the day of reckoning. Desiree Requiem Mass. And then one from William Clayton. The dumber people think you are, the more surprised they're going to be when you kill them. I like that one. I think my other favorite part of this reading series, just before I get started, is that you can tell the words that I only ever hear in my head because I can't pronounce them. So, follow along, see if you can pick those out. All right, here we go. I wake up on a pile of smoldering garbage and leaves in the old Hollywood Forever cemetery behind the Paramount studio lot on Melrose, though these last details don't come to me until later. Right now, all that I know is that I'm back in the world and I'm on fire. My mind hasn't quite kicked in yet, but my body knows enough to roll off the burning trash and to keep rolling until I can't feel the heat anymore. When I'm sure I'm out, I struggle to find my feet and shrug off my leather jacket. I run my hands over my lower back and legs. There's no real pain, and all I can feel are a couple of blisters behind my right knee and calf. My jeans are a little crispy, but the heavy leather of my jacket protected my back. I'm not really burned, just singed and in shock. I probably hadn't been in the fire too long, but I'm lucky that way. Always have been. Otherwise, I might have crawled back into this world and ended up a charcoal briquette in my first 5 minutes home. And wouldn't those black-hearted bastards down under have laughed when I ended up right back in hell after slipping so sweetly out the back door? Fuck 'em for now. I'm home and I'm alive, if a little torn by the trip. No one said birth was easy, and rebirth would have to be twice as hard as that first journey into the light. The light. My body isn't burning anymore, but my eyes are cooking in their sockets. How long has it been since I've seen the sunlight? Down in the asshole of creation, it was a dim, perpetual crimson and magenta twilight. I can't even tell you the colors of the cemetery where I'm standing because my vision goes into an agonizing whiteout every time I open my eyes. Squinting like a mole, I run to the shade of a columarium and crouch there with my forehead on the cool marble walls and my hands over my face. I give it a good 5 or 10 minutes, then lower my hands to let my eyes get used to the bloody red light that seeps through my lids. Little by little, over the next 20 minutes or so, I open my eyes, letting in minute amounts of glaring LA sun. I mentally cross my fingers and hope that no one sees me hunkered down against the wall. They'd probably think I was crazy and call a cop, and there wouldn't be a damn thing I could do about it. The muscles in my knees and legs ache before I can open my eyes all the way and keep them open. I sit down against the cool building to take some of the strain off. Though I can sort of see now, there's no way I'm marching off into the full daylight for a while. Instead, I stay in the shade and take stock of things. My clothes are burned but wearable, if you ignore the burning garbage smell. I have on an ancient Germs t-shirt that my girlfriend lifted from a West Hollywood vintage shop for me, worn black jeans with holes in the knees, a pair of ancient engineer boots, and a battered leather motorcycle jacket, strategic points of which are held together with black gaffer's tape. The heel of my right boot is loose from when I'd kicked the living Jesus out of some carjacking piece of shit after he dragged some screaming soccer mom to the pavement at a stoplight. I hate cops, and I fucking hate goody hero types, but there is some shit I will not put up with if it happens in front of me. Of course, that was back then, before my trip down under. I wasn't sure what I'd do if I saw the same scene today. I'd probably still put a boot into the car thief, but I don't know if I'd let him walk away. Right now, there's something more important on my mind. The fact that these are the exact clothes I was wearing when I got demon snatched. When I'd hit the pavement down under, I'd been naked. That got me my first big laughs, stumbling around trying to find my footing before I puked myself in front of an audience of fallen angels. After that, the laughs were mostly about my physical abuse and humiliation at the hands of one devil dog or another. Trust me on this, hell is a tough room. It's been a long time since I've seen these clothes. I go through my pockets to see if there's money or anything useful. There's not much. There's nothing in my pockets but 23 cents and an empty pink matchbook with the name and address of a Hollywood bail bondsman printed on it. I don't even have the keys to my apartment or the old Impala my father left me. I feel just above my right ankle and a genuine wave of happiness hits me. The black blade is still there, strapped to my leg with strips of basilisk leather. I put my hand over my heart and can feel the chain under my t-shirt and the fat gold Veritas coin that hangs there. The fact that I'm on Earth at all means that I still have the key to the room with the 13 doors, and even though I can't touch it or see it. So I managed to smuggle 3 things back with me from hell. That's no small feat. Of course, none of it alters the fact that I have no money, no ID, no wheels, My clothes are half burned off. I don't have a place to stay. No real idea where I am, except for the fact that this Tombstone trailer park looks and feels like LA. I'm off to a damn good start. I'll be the first hitman in history who has to panhandle for bullets. I make my way slowly, still half blind, to the front gates of the cemetery. Near them, I cup my hands in the water flowing from the top of the contemplation fountain. I take a drink and splash water onto my face. It feels as cool and as perfect as a first kiss. Right then, it hits me. This isn't some devil's illusion, a glamour, or some game designed to crush my spirit. I'm really home. So where the hell is everybody? Outside, I catch sight of the one thing I've been hoping to see. North from where I'm standing in the distance are the big white letters of the Hollywood sign. Perched high on the dirty brown scrub hills, it's never looked so beautiful. In the other direction, towards Melrose, a car hisses by every now and then, but there are way too few, and there are no people on the street at all. There are some small houses off at an angle from the cemetery gate. The green lawns are decorated with lights, plastic reindeer, and an inflatable snowman. Wreaths on a few doors across the street. Holy shit, it's Christmas. For some reason, this strikes me as the funniest thing in the universe, and I stand there laughing like an idiot. Someone slams into me hard from behind. The hilarity ends abruptly. I spin around and I'm face to face with a young executive type. Brad Pitt's stunt double handsome with a haircut and a black double-breasted jacket that together cost more than my car. Where the hell did he come from? I've got to shape up. Downtown no one would have been able to creep up on me like that. Brad Pitt takes a couple of stiff steps back. What the fuck, he yells. Like it's my fault he walked into me. It's not that hot out, but he's sweating like a racehorse, and his movements are quick and jerky like a broken wind-up toy. He looks at me like I just killed his dog. Calm down, Donald Trump, I say. You ran into me. He wipes his upper lip with the back of his hand. There's something tucked in his palm, and he's so twitchy, he drops it. Brad starts to lunge for it, but takes a step back instead. Lying on the sidewalk between us is a plastic bag with about 100 little ice-white cocaine rocks inside. I smile. Welcome to Christmas in LA. Say hi to St. Nick, loading up for a party I'll definitely be skipping. I look back at the guy, and before I can say anything, he reaches into his jacket. I latch onto his arm just as the stun gun comes out. I snap his wrist back and twist outward, taking him off balance and slamming him hard into the pavement. I didn't even think about it. My body just went on autopilot. Guess some part of my brain must still be working right. Brad Pitt isn't moving. He went down on the stun gun, and it's still jammed into his ribs. I kick the thing away and touch the side of his neck. Even out cold, his pulse is fast. Who says crack isn't good for you? He's wearing a small Christmas tree pin on his lapel. This makes me think about Christmas more, about being somewhere without friends, and how I could use a secret Santa of my own right now. I figure that my new friend is about as close to a good Samaritan as I'm likely to find outside of a cemetery off Melrose. I quick check to see that the street is still clear, pocket the stun gun, and then drag him into the cemetery behind some hedges. Turns out the guy is Santa, the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny all rolled into one. His eelskin wallet is fat with hundreds, at least a few grand worth, even though the twitchy son of a bitch was so ripped on coke and paranoia that he tried to electrocute me for nothing more than standing on the street. I feel a small twinge of guilt as I rifle through his pockets. I've done a lot of questionable things in my time, but I never actually mugged anybody. Not that this was technically a mugging. Brad Pitt here attacked me, and another time, helping myself to this guy's gear would just fall under the heading of spoils of war. Besides, I need this stuff. I'm back with nothing, no friends that I know of, and no real plan. I help myself to his cash, his Porsche sunglasses, an unopened pack of black gum, and his jacket, which is a little tight across the shoulders, but not too bad a fit at all. I leave him my half-burned leather jacket, his credit cards, car keys, and the big bag of Christmas crack. I'll just add this incident to the list of sins I'll have to atone for later. 10 minutes back on Earth, and I'm already adding to the bill. I crack open the pack of caffeinated gum and chew a piece as I walk. I can't seem to get the taste of burning garbage out of my mouth. It feels like I'm walking on someone else's legs, wobbly and disconnected. I trip over a couple of curbs and almost jump out of my skin when I step on a squeak toy some kid left in the street. Chuck Norris, I am not. But the blood starts flowing and my legs start feeling like part of my body again. Other than that, I'm not walking with any purpose or direction. I want to go home, but what if Azazel has sent up some of his pet spiders, the bloodsuckers as big as Rottweilers? I'm not ready to face that just yet. I pull the chain out from under my shirt and unclip the Veritas coin. The Veritas is about 2 inches wide, silver, and heavy. Around the edge in Hellion script, it says, Home Sweet Home. Good, it's awake and snotty as ever. One side of the coin is stamped with the image of the morning star, Lucifer, and on the other side is a round, many-petaled flower, sort of like a chrysanthemum. It's an asphodel, a Hellion word that translates as evensong. The flowers sing hymns that the fallen angels used to sing in heaven. After belting out off-key hosannas all day, getting all the words wrong, they strangle themselves with their roots every evening and die. The next day, they resurrect and start all over again. This has been going on down there for probably 1,000,000 years, and most Hellions still think it's a knee slapper. Hellion humor doesn't travel well. Plus, except for Lucifer and his generals, most of Hell's troops make the Beverly Hillbillies look like the Algonquin Round Table. Holding the big coin on my thumb and forefinger, I flip it, thinking Hollywood or home. The Veritas coin comes down asphodel side up. That's it then. The Veritas never lies, and it gives better advice than most people I know. I put it back on its chain and turn north for Hollywood. It's over a mile to the boulevard. I'm exhausted by the time I get there, and the payoff isn't exactly what I was hoping for. Sometime while I was gone, Hollywood Boulevard had a nervous breakdown. Vacant storefronts, trash dissolving in the street, nothing but ghosts here. Shadows of runaways and dealers huddled in padlocked doorways. I remember the boulevard full of wild kids, drag queens, manic Dylan wannabes, and tourists looking for more than their next fix. Now the place looks like a whipped dog. I'm beat from walking on these strangers' legs, and I'm sweating in Brad Pitt's jacket. I should have taken the idiot's car. I could have left it on the boulevard, safe and sound, though more likely I'd have tossed the keys to one of the street kids slouched against the building just to see if there was any life inside some of those dead eyes. Walking deeper into Hollywood, I pass Ivor Avenue and see a funny sign flanked by burning tiki torches. Bamboo House of Dolls, it says. I remember the name. It's an old school kung fu movie with a women in prison twist. I saw it when I was downtown. The devil steals cable. Who knew? The Bamboo House of Dolls is cool and dim inside, and I can take off Brad Pitt's sunglasses without wanting to faint. There are old Iggy and Circle Jerks posters on the black painted walls, but behind the bar it's all palm fronds, plastic hula girls, and coconut bowls for the peanuts. There's no one in the place except for the bartender and me. I grab the stool at the end of the bar, farthest from the door. The bartender is slicing up limes. He pauses for a second to give me a nod, the knife loose and comfortable in his right hand. That other part of my brain kicks in, sizing him up. He has close-cropped black hair and a graying goatee. He looks big under his Hawaiian shirt, an ex-football player, maybe a boxer. He realizes I'm looking at him. Nice jacket, he says. Thanks. Too bad the rest of you look like you just dropped out of the devil's asshole. Suddenly I'm wondering if this is some Hellion setup, and if I can reach Brad Pitt's stun gun or my knife in time. He must see it on my face because he gives me this big deer-in-the-headlights grin, and I know that he was kidding. Relax, man, he said. Bad joke. Looks like you had a shitty day. What are you drinking? I'm not sure how to answer that. Yesterday I'd been hunting for water that sometimes dripped through the ceilings of limestone caves under Pandemonium. Mostly I drank a Hellion homebrew called Aqua Regia, a kind of high-octane red wine mixed with a dash of angel's blood and herbs that made cocaine seem like pop rocks. Aqua Regia tasted like cayenne pepper and gasoline, but it was there and I could hold it down. Jack Daniels. On the house, says the bartender and pours a double. There's strange music playing, something old and tropical with fake bird chirps every now and then. There's a CD case on the bar, a Hawaiian sunset on the cover, and the name Martin Denny. I put the chewed black in a cocktail napkin and sip the JD. It tastes strange, like something a human might actually drink. It washes the last of the garbage taste away. What the hell is this place? Bamboo House of Dolls, LA's greatest and only punk tiki club. Yeah, I always thought LA needed one of those. I'm in a bar, but something's missing. I forgot my cigarettes. Think I can borrow one? Sorry, man, you can't smoke in bars in California. When did that happen? That's ridiculous. I agree completely. At least I'm home for Christmas. Close, but you missed it by a day. Didn't Santa bring you anything? This trip, maybe. I sip my drink. So, not Christmas after all. Just Christmas enough to keep the streets deserted so no one saw me crawl home. Lucky me. I ask, you have today's paper? He reaches under the bar and drops a folded copy of the LA Times in front of me. I pick it up, trying not to look too eager. Can't even read the headlines. Can't focus on anything but the date at the top of the page. 11 years. I've been gone 11 years. I was 19 when I went downtown. I'm practically an old man now. You have any coffee back there? He nods. That's how you miss Christmas, the last weekend. I've had a few of those. The coffee is beautiful. Hot, a little bitter, like it's been brewing for a while. I pour the last of the Jack Daniels into it and drink. My first perfect moment in 11 years. You from around here? I was born here, but I've been away. Business or pleasure? Incarceration. He smiles again, a normal one this time. In my reckless use, I did 6 months for boosting cars. What were you inside for? I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. Mostly wrong place, wrong time. That'll put a smile on your face. He refills my coffee cup and pours me another shot of JD. This bartender might be the finest human being I've ever met. So why'd you come back? I'm gonna kill some people, I tell him. I pour the Jack into the coffee. Probably a lot of people. The bartender picks up a rag and starts wiping glasses. Guess someone's got to. Thanks for understanding. I figure that at any given time there's probably 3 to 5% of the population that are such unrepentant rat-fuck penteos that they deserve whatever they get. He's still wiping the same glass. It looks pretty clean to me. Besides, I get the feeling you might have your reasons. That I do, Carlos. He stops wiping. How did you know my name was Carlos? You must have said it. No, I didn't. I look over his shoulder at the wall behind the bar. A trophy on top of the cash register. Carlos, world's greatest boss. You can read that from here? Apparently. The thing with his name popping into my head, that was weird. Time to go. What do I owe you? On the house. You this nice to every aspiring assassin who wanders in here? Only the ones who look like they just crawled out of a burning building and didn't even get their jacket dirty. And I like repeat business. Maybe now you'll come back sometime. You want someone who, like you said, just fell out of the devil's asshole as a regular? I love it. He looks away like he's trying to think of the next thing to say. There are these guys, white boys all tattooed like Aryan Nation or some shit. They're coming around, wanting money for protection. A lot more money than I can afford with a little bar like this. And you think I can do something about them. You look like someone who might know what to do in a situation like this. Who wouldn't be... That look again, groping for words. You know, afraid. I could tell it was really hard for him to say that. Is this why the Veritas sent me here? I'm back a couple of hours and already I'm into karmic payback. And with the carnage I have planned, but haven't even started? No, that didn't make any sense. I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you. How about this? Free drinks, free food at night too, good burgers, ribs, tamales. You eat and drink free until the end of time. That's a really nice offer, but I don't think I can help you. He looks away and starts wiping glasses again. If you change your mind, they come on Thursdays in the afternoon when we're getting deliveries. I get up and head for the door. When I'm halfway there, he says, "Hey," and slides something down the bar at me. It's a pack of American Spirit Browns, the non-filtered kind. There's a pack of matches tucked under the cellophane wrap. Take them, he says. I can't smoke in here either. Slipping on Brad Pitt's shades, I ask, you have any more of these back there? No. You're a hell of a first date, Carlos. Damn, when someone gives you his last cigarette, you owe him. Martin Denny chirps, follow me to the door. Turns out I don't need the shades for long. It must have been later in the day than I thought when I went into the bamboo house of dolls. As I leave, the sun is almost down and the lights are coming on all along the boulevard. I've always liked Hollywood better at night. The street lights, headlights, and flashing signs outside the tourist traps blur away the straight lines and hard right angles that ruin the place. The boulevard is only ever real at night when it's both bright and black, and there are promises hidden in every shadow. It's like it was designed and built specifically for vampires. For all I know, it was. Yes, there are vampires. Try to keep up. I count to 11 as I walk deeper into Hollywood. 11 parking meters. 11 hookers looking for their first post-Christmas trick. 11 actors I never heard of on 11 stars in the sidewalk. 11 years. 11 goddamn years, and I'm home with a key and a pocket knife and a coin that won't buy me a cup of coffee. 3, 5, 7, 11. All good children go to heaven. Gone 11 years and I make it back the day after Christmas. Is someone trying to tell me something? I pull out one of Carlos's American Spirits and light up. The smoke feels good in my lungs. This body is starting to feel like mine again, like me. I'm just not sure about the rest of the world. Who the hell are all these people on the boulevard the day after Christmas? How am I supposed to blend in with them? There's a nice guy at a bar a few blocks from here. He was just doing his job, but he had a knife in his hand, and all I could do was count all the ways I knew to kill him. It hits me then how unprepared I am for being back, how everything that made sense downtown is strange here, wrong, and ridiculous. All the skills I developed, how to draw an enemy in and how to kill, all the magic I'd learned or stolen suddenly feels feeble and foolish in this bright and alien place. I'm steel toed boots in a ballet slipper world. I finish off the first cigarette and light another. The world is a much louder and stranger place than I remember. I need to start doing and stop running. Stop running around screaming inside my own head. Brooding is for chickens, as my first grade teacher used to say, or maybe it was Lucifer. Homily reciters all kind of run together for me. I need to concentrate on what's important, like my sure and certain plans to find and kill, in as painful a way as possible, the 6 traitorous snakes who stole my life. And something worse, it makes me weak inside to think about it. It's a woman's face. Her name is Alice. She's the only bright thing I ever loved, the only person I ever met worth giving a damn about. If heaven ever meant anything, she should be married, probably now, to some skinny leather pants guitarist she has to support with temp jobs in those fluorescent tube high-rise dungeons along Wilshire. Or she'd have gone straight, married a dentist, squeezed out a minivan full of crib lizards, and gotten fat. That would be okay too. But none of those things are going to happen for her. Nothing nice happens to murdered women, except that maybe someone cares about how they got that way. If Alice was still around, would she even recognize me under all these scars? There was a mirror inside the entrance to the bamboo house of dolls, but I'd been careful not to look at it. Walking along the boulevard, I take quick glances in my reflection in the dim glass of dead storefronts. I'm bigger than I was when I went downtown, heavier with muscle and scar tissue, but still thin by human standards. I can still recognize the rough outline of my face, but it looks more like stone than flesh. My cheeks and chin are chiseled out of concrete, my eyes are dark, shining marvels above the lips, the color of dirty snow. I'm a George Romero zombie, except I've never been dead, just vacationing in the land of the dead. Suddenly I want to get my hands around the throat of Alice's imaginary husband and squeeze him until he pops like a balloon. That stops me cold. It's the first time I'd fantasized about killing anyone outside the circle. What a stupid and dangerous thought, exactly the kind of thing that will steer me away from the real job and maybe get me killed. Then I'd be right back in hell with nothing to show for it, and wouldn't that be a lot of laughs? That leads me back to the $64,000 question. Why did the Veritas send me this way? It's interesting being back on familiar turf, but I could have brooded back at the cemetery. That's why it's called the cemetery. And I didn't need a bartender to offer me a job or give me free smokes. With a pocket full of Brad Pitts with hundreds, I'm Richie Rich with a knife in his boot. So why am I here? I'm walking and smoking on a block that's 2 open liquor stores, an empty secondhand bookstore, a dead record store, and a shuttered sex shop. As I'm speculating on how fucked up a town has to be when it can't even keep a dildo and porn shop open, the inside of my skull lights up like God's own pinball machine. I have my answer. I know why I'm here. He's turning off the boulevard onto Las Palmas, waddling on his little legs a short way up the block to a place called Max Overdrive Video. At the front door, he has to juggle things for a minute, transfer a cup of coffee to one hand, grip the top of a bag of donuts in his teeth, and do a little ass dance so he can work the keys out of his pocket and let himself into the store. I watch him from across the street just to make sure that I'm not imagining things. As he enters the place, I get a nice backlit shot of his face. It's Kasabian, one of my friends from the old magic circle, one of the 6 on my list. Santa brought me something after all. Max Overdrive Video occupies both floors of an old Hollywood townhouse, the kind of weekend getaway kept by the gentry back in the 40s and 50s when this area was the most glamorous place in the known universe. Kasabian is moving around inside Max Overdrive like he owns the place. I think I should go and ask him if he does. It's full-on night now, and I'm surrounded by fat, ripe shadows. I cross the street and pick a plump, dark one around the side of Max Overdrive, next to a health food restaurant. I glance over my shoulder to make sure the street is clear, and when I'm sure I'm alone, I slip into the shadow. The key tickles inside my chest, and I emerge into the room of the 13 doors. I cross to the door of ice and quietly step out of the shadow on the other side. I'm in the far back of the store, in the porn section, The lights are off back here, so I get a good look at the rest of the place. There's a door to an employee restroom on my right, tucked back behind the porn. Just because this section is a chained off stairway, just beyond this section is a chained off stairway leading upstairs. Neat racks of DVDs and bins of VHS tapes fill the rest of the store. I guess that's something that's changed in the last 11 years. Even the porn in the back is all discs. The only tapes I can find are piled carelessly in the sales bins. VHS is dead. This is something good to remember, since I don't want to sound like the Beverly Hillbillies when I'm talking to regular people. I should sit down and make a list of everything I missed while I was gone. If you can't smoke in bars anymore, what other atrocities has the world committed? Kasabian is up front behind the counter, going over the day's receipts. He lost some hair while I was away, but he's made up for it by getting fat. He'd always been a little chubby, but now he'd taken on a truly odd shape. Not like one of those guys who grows a big belly and man boobs. He just seems to have expanded horizontally, like a balloon filled with too much air. It's admirable in its own weird way. His chin and gut are defiant in the face of gravity, making him look more like Frosty the Snowman than Orson Welles. I walk slowly down the main aisle toward the counter, checking the corners of the room, making sure we're alone. Kasabian is deep in thought, crunching numbers. When I'm halfway to the counter, I take Brad Pitt's stun gun from my jacket pocket and hold it behind my back. "Evening, Cass." "Long time no see." He starts and knocks a pile of receipts to the floor. I stop where I know he can see me, but also where the lighting is weak enough that I'm pretty sure he can't see my face. "Who the fuck are you? Get out of my store. I don't want any trouble." "It's right after Christmas, Cass. Don't you ever take a day off?" "Everybody's on vacation." "Who are you?" "Did you have a Merry Christmas this year? Did you sing Happy Birthday to Baby Jesus? Maybe pick up something at the Baby Gap. What do you want?" "Know what I did for Christmas? I cut a monster's head off. Then I did the same thing to the guy who owned the monster." "You want money? Take it. It was a lousy day, and I've already deposited all the Christmas money, so you're shit out of luck there." Kasabian has been a drama queen from the first day I met him, so I can't resist hitting him with a Vincent Price moment. "I don't want your money, Cass. I want your soul," I say, stepping into better light to give him a clear, full frontal. It gets exactly the reaction I was hoping for. His mouth opens, but he doesn't make any sound. One of his hands comes up to cover his open yap, stifling a silent scream. He steps back from the counter, his eyes wide. "Forgive me, God and Lucifer and all you angels high and low, but this is fun. This is an e-ticket roller coaster. Shut your mouth, Cass. You look like one of those blow-up sheep in the back of porn zines." I stop about 10 feet away from the counter, just letting him feast on me. "What'd you get me for Christmas?" "Oh, right. You gave it to me 11 years ago, Damnation, the gift that keeps on giving." His hands are down now, and he's leaning on the counter like a drunk trying to decide whether to fall on his face or his back. I thumb on the stun gun. "It's okay, I know you don't have anything for me, but I sure as hell have something for you, Cass. Climb up on Santa's lap, and I'll show you." I take a baby step closer to the counter, and Kasabian takes one back. Then he does the funniest thing. He raises his hand, and there's a gun there, a .45 caliber Colt Peacemaker, Wyatt Earp's favorite gun. He gives me 5 of the 6 slugs in the chest and belly, completely ruining my moment. I drop to my knees, vision going black. The stun gun falls to the floor, and I follow it down. I can feel my lungs drawing in air. I can feel my heart beating. Both organs seem more than a little confused by what's happening. Death is settling over me, soft and warm, like a down comforter fresh from the dryer. My heart stops. Something funny happened to me when I was downtown. I got hard to kill. When I first arrived there, I was the first and only living human to ever set foot in hell. I was a sideshow freak, pay $1 and see Jimmy, the dog-faced boy. Later, when they got tired of slapping me around, examining me, and displaying me like a pedigreed poodle, they thought it might be fun to watch me die. They made me fight in the arena, and they made a big deal out of it. Imagine the Super Bowl every week or two. Naturally, the location being hell and the setting being an arena, there was a lot of cheating going on. Hellions don't like losing bets any more than humans. Before almost every fight, a bribed trainer or attendant would show up with a sneaky little gift. They slipped me special weapons. They gave me diabolical drugs. They whispered fiendish spells into my ears. It all helped, though it didn't make me Superman. I was knifed and speared. I was burned. I was almost torn in half by a giant crab thing that bled fire and screamed in the anguished voices of all the souls it had devoured. My ribs and skull were beaten to silly putty, but I didn't die. I don't know if it was the spells, the drugs, the Aqua Regia, or just clean living, but I was changing. Every time I should have died but didn't, I got stronger. That meant that the next attack had to be harder, faster, even more ferocious than the one before. After a while, I actually looked forward to the beatdowns. Each one changed me, and that change meant that I was immune from a similar attack next time. By the end, I was a flesh and bone, armor plated, dirty Harry. By the time the ruling class, old school hellions, and nouveau celebutant fiends decided it was time to get rid of me, it was too late. I was too strong, and by then I was doing more interesting things than killing in the arena. I was freelance killing hellions out of the arena, and that meant I was protected on high by forces far darker than your run-of-the-mill tail and pitchfork type. On the other hand, I'd never been shot before. "Stark?" says Kasabian a million miles away. "Is that really you?" He laughs quietly, nervously. Mason is going to shit himself. My left hand shoots to the side, grabbing the .45 still warm barrel and driving it into the floor. Kasabian's fat finger is still looped in the trigger guard, so he comes down with the gun. Meanwhile, my right hand flickers to my boot and tears free the black bone knife. I twist my body toward Kasabian and bring the knife down in a smooth arc. Kasabian's head tumbles to the floor and rolls away like a pumpkin. His body flops to the floor. From beneath the dizzy new releases rack, Kasabian's head begins to wail. "Oh God, oh Jesus, fuck, I'm dead." It's quality wailing. Downtown I became kind of a connoisseur of wailing, and this is prime stuff. "I'm dead, I'm dead." Crawling shakily to my feet, I pick up Kasabian's shrieking melon by the hair, tuck the .45 in the back of my jeans, and grab his leg by the ankle with my free hand. In a situation like this, when you want to clear away the evidence, you want to drag the body. You might think it's faster to toss it over your shoulder in a fireman's carry, but lifting a limp body is like wrestling with 200 pounds of jello. It wiggles, shifts, and refuses to stay still. Dragging is slower, but much less aggravating. I carry Kasabian upstairs, his head still screaming blue murder and his heavy torso bumping along behind us. The second floor is one big room. It's large, with a nice big window on one wall, but sparsely furnished. There's a bed, a couple of desk chairs, and a table piled high with tape decks, DVD burners, and a big color printer, a mini video bootlegging factory. I drop the body by the door and set his head on the work table. The gun I toss on the bed. Kasabian is still shrieking like a banshee, which is pretty good for a guy with no lungs. I grab a chair and drop down in front of him. Digging the cigarettes out of Brad Pitt's now bloody jacket, I light one up and blow smoke in Kasabian's face. "Smell that? That means you're not dead." He stops screaming and looks at me. Then he spots his body on the floor and starts caterwauling again. I take a slow drag and blow an extra long cancer cloud right in his face. He gets quiet and finally seems to focus on me. "Stark, you're dead." "Tell me, Cass, how does it feel to wake up in the worst place you can imagine? Of course, you're luckier than me because you know why you're there." "Fuck you. You think you're sneaky? You use magic. The whole Sub Rosa will know you're here. Mason will know you're here. He'll kill you." I make a game show buzzer noise. "Guess again, fat man, this knife doesn't disturb the ether, and it doesn't leave any magical traces. Pure stealth tech, which is sort of its point. That and not killing its victims unless I tell it to." "Oh God, look what you did. God's away on business, Cass. Talk to me." He looks up at me with big moon eyes. "I thought you were dead. When you disappeared, we thought you were dead. I mean, what Mason did, it worked. I was alive and in hell for 11 years, so yeah, you could say it worked." "How could you live through something like that? Mason was right about you." "What did he say?" "That you were the only other really great natural magician he'd ever met." I have to smile at that. Sounds like Mason. I mean, it comes off like a compliment, but he calls me a great magician so he can call himself an even greater one. I turn away like I'm checking out the room, but really my gut is killing me. I'm burned and bruised where the slugs went in, and I'm pretty sure I have a couple of cracked ribs. They'll probably be alright by morning, but I'm not going to do much more walking around tonight. And I'm not about to give Kasabian the satisfaction of knowing I'm in pain. "It must be true, though. You survived all those hellions and you came back." "Wringing your neck is what brought me back. Yours and the others." The old anger comes boiling up, but I don't want to lose control. It'll scare Kasabian too much, and he'll be useless for information. I need to catch my breath. I can't plan anything, running around barking like a mad dog. "For your information, I didn't use any magic downtown. Our magic is a joke down there. It doesn't work. You might as well be shouting brownie recipes." I take a calming drag off the cigarette. I don't even remember much of the magic we did in the circle, but I did learn a trick or two down under, Hellion magic, and every bit of it is designed to make you cry all the way home. Are you gonna kill me? Did you happen to notice me cutting off your head? If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. Why did you come after me? Is it about the girl? I don't want to talk about her yet. I can't talk about her yet. What do you want, man? I want all of you. You were all in on it when Mason sent me down. I didn't do anything. Right, you just stood there. You knew what was coming and you just stood there. We didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew Mason was going to off me. Kasabian starts to say something, but he looks away. What did Mason promise you? The sun and the moon, all our dreams come true if we stayed out of the way and zipped our lips. It was hard stuff to refuse. So you said yes. Then Mason screwed you and dumped you here. What a surprise. That's why you're about the last one in the circle I need to kill. Why? He frowns, like me not killing him first hurts his feelings. Because you're a fuck-up. You're a third-rate magician and a second-rate human being. That's why Mason and the others left you at the altar. You're excess baggage. You want to find the others from the circle, and you want me to help you? I want a lot of things, but let's start with that. I shift around on the chair, trying to find a position that doesn't hurt my ribs. I don't find one. Where are the cool kids hanging out these days? Are you crazy? Do you know what any of them would do to me if I told you? When I was downtown, I learned a lot about making threats. Make them big, make them outrageous. You're never going to kick someone's ass. You're going to pull out their tongue and pour liquid nitrogen down their throat, chip out their guts with an ice pick, and slide in a pane of glass and turn them into an aquarium. But you have to be careful with threats. Some Hellions and humans don't know when to back down, and you might actually have to follow through. It didn't happen often, but it was always a possibility. You know what I'm going to do to you? I asked quietly and evenly. You see that body over there? I'm going to drag it to the deepest, darkest part of Griffith Park and leave it for the coyotes. Please don't do that. Then talk to me about the others. Where's Mason? Mason had been the leader of our magic circle, which made me Mr. Green Jeans to his Captain Kangaroo. He was a talented magician and never passed up a chance to remind you of it. He came for money. At least he acted like he did. The truth is, none of us really knew much about his life outside the circle. Parker did, though. They were tight. Parker was a thug with a boxer's build and just enough magical ability to make him really dangerous. Mason saw the possibilities in someone like that and made the guy into his pet pit bull. Mason never got blood on his hands because Parker was only too happy to do it for him. Mason also made a point of calling me Jimmy, James being my given first name. No one ever called me Jimmy because I wouldn't let them. I've always gone by Stark because the rest of my name had always been an issue in the family. I don't know how Mason found out the rest of my name. Are you kidding? Does it look like I hang out with Mason anymore? I rent porn in Schwarzenegger to halfwits, Kasabian says. I've hardly seen him since that night, and to tell you the truth, I'm glad. After you were gone, those demons, or whatever they were, charged him up with power. Superman stuff. No, more like the Hulk. He changed right in front of us. His skin, his bones, his whole body turned weird. It kind of glowed, and it looked like there were things crawling around under his skin. Sounds like they gave him an assload of Neberos. What's a Nebero? A parasite. They live off of the energy of whatever they infest. The only reason the host doesn't drop dead immediately is that the Neberos excrete supernatural energy. They shit magic. It supercharges the host, keeping him and the parasite alive. Hellions eat those things like popcorn. I didn't know they worked on humans. Whatever happened, he just wasn't just Mason anymore. He was Mason and something else. Like God's older brother who takes God's money, steals his car, and fucks his girlfriend. That's Mason now. A guy who isn't afraid to pants God. He took off and took Parker with him. I know he's telling the truth. In the same weird way that Carlos's name popped into my head back at the Bamboo House of Dolls. I know that Kasabian is telling me the truth. It's not reassuring to know something without understanding why you know it, but I'll figure that out later. I flick ashes off the cigarette and place it between Kasabian's lips. He puffs on it a few times, and that seems to calm him down. When he's done, I set the cigarette down in an ashtray on the table. I don't want to finish it after he's touched it. I'm going to have a few more questions for you over the next few days, maybe weeks, however long it takes to settle this. Be straight with me, keep telling me the truth, and I might just give you your body back. Sit here and wait for Mason to get me. What a sweet deal. Work with me and he won't be around to get you. Kasabian's expression goes blank, like he's staring off into the distance at something I can't see. You're right, I am a fuck up, he says. All the rest of them, they got power, money, cushy jobs, but they cut me out. I got nothing. And you have every reason to want some payback, too. Don't you think I would have if I could? Look at me. I even had to steal this stupid store just to earn a living. Then a dead guy comes in and cuts my head off. Yeah, I'm the one who's going to put down Mason Fame. No, I am. You just point me at him. I told you, I don't know where he is. He's gone. He's Kaiser Soze. What about the others? You're asking a lot, man. No, I'm asking for exactly what I'm owed. I take a smoke again. I don't want to get into the next thing. Tell me, Cass, like your life depended on it. Who killed Alice? Kasabian's eyes dart back and forth in his head like they're looking for the eject button. I recognize the look of panic. It almost feels like I can hear his heart speed up, but he doesn't have a body, though maybe he's still somehow connected to it. You know about that all the way down there, and you know about that? Talk to me, Cass. The coyotes are calling. I look at the floor, but I don't move. If I move, I'm going to break like glass. I can't stand talking about her. I raise my gaze to meet Kasabian's. If he had a body, he would have bolted. I don't know much. It's not like Mason or anyone stops by to talk over old times. I get the same rumors as everybody else. I heard Parker did it. Mason sent him? Parker doesn't shit unless Mason tells him it's okay. So yeah, Mason must have told him to do it. Why? Why after all these years? Why would he do that? I don't know, man. Seriously. I stare into Kasabian's eyes and know he isn't lying. He's absolutely panicked as I come over to him. When I take the burning cigarette out of the ashtray and let him finish it, he looks so relieved I think he's going to cry. My Alice is dead and I'm alone. Tell me about the store, I say. How many employees are there? 4 or 5 college kids. They come and go. It changes with classes and holidays. Allegra is the only one with any brains. Who's she? She manages the place. I don't like being down there with the customers. She runs the place so you can stay up here and bootleg movies. We do what we have to get by. I bet you did some dirty tricks or two when you were in hell. You have no idea, I tell him. What time do you open in the morning? Does Allegra open the place? 10. Yeah, she does. There's a closet behind the door to the stairs. I push the stairs door closed and open the closet. It's mostly empty, except for waist-high metal storage shelves. I drag the body into the back of the closet, then bring in Kasabian's head. I set him on top of the shelves. He says, I'm a little claustrophobic. I look around the room. He can't stay out in the open in case someone comes up here. There's a small bathroom, but there's no way I'm having Kasabian share my morning pee. Sitting on the bottom of one of the shelves is a small portable TV. I plug it in and turn it on while fiddling with its old-fashioned rabbit ear antenna. A local news show comes on, and I put the set on the shelf with Kasabian. Maybe this'll ease your pain. Kasabian frowns. You're a real prick, Jimmy. But I wasn't always, was I? I close the door halfway and stop. You ever call me Jimmy again, and I'll nail this door shut. You can complain about the claustrophobia for the next 50 years in the dark. I close and lock the closet door. I sit down on the bed, exhausted and in pain. It's been an eventful day. I landed here with nothing and ended up with a nice new jacket and a pocket full of cash. I even have somewhere to crash and wash my face. The American dream. I stretch out full on the bed and something else occurs to me. I guess I'm in the video biz. Damn, I even have a job. I want to go and wash off the blood that's drying on my belly and chest, but when I try to stand, my cracked ribs shoot to the top of my pain threshold and convince me that I can wait till morning. I shrug off Brad Pitt's jacket and lie back carefully. The moment my head hits the pillow, I'm out. Alice had short dark hair and almost black eyes. There were rose thorns tattooed around the base of her long neck. She was slim, and it made her arms and legs look impossibly long. We'd been going out for 3 or 4 weeks. While we were lying around in her bed one night, out of nowhere, she said, I can do magic. Want to see? Of course. She jumped out of the bed, still naked. Candles and lights from the street slid over her body, shadowing the muscles working under her skin, making the tattoos over her arms, back, and chest move like dancers in some eerie ballroom. She went to the dresser and drew a curly little mustache on her upper lip with eyeliner pencil. When she came back to bed, she had a top hat and a deck of cards. She sat down and put on the hat, straddling me on top of the covers. Pick a card, she said. I took one. It was the Jack of Diamonds. Now, put it back anywhere you want. Don't let me see it. She made a point of closing her eyes and turning her head away. It's back in, Merlin, I said. She waved a hand over the deck and mumbled some made-up magic mumbo-jumbo and fanned out the deck across my stomach. Is this your card? She said, holding up one of the cards. It was the Jack of Diamonds. Right as rain, I told her. You're the real thing, all right. Know how I did it? Magic? She flipped the deck so I could see the cards. It was 52 identical jacks of diamonds. That's not real magic, I said. Fooled you, though. Cheat. You distracted me. I have the power to cloud men's minds. That you do. She slid under the covers, still wearing the top hat and mustache, and we made love that way. The top hat fell off, but she wore the mustache until morning. The night after her card trick, I told Alice about magic. I told her it was real and that I was a magician. She liked me well enough by then not to 5150 me to the cops, but she looked at me like I just told her that I was the king of the mushroom people. So I pinched the flame off one of the candles she'd lit and made it hop across my fingertips. I charmed old magazines, dirty shirts, and Chinese restaurant flyers up from the floor, formed them into a vaguely female shape, and had them strut around the apartment like a fashion model. I made my neighbor's yowling cat speak Russian, and Alice's tattoos move around like little movies under her skin. She loved it. She was like a kid shouting, "More, more." What she didn't want was anything serious. Every civilian I'd ever shown magic to had the same response. How can we use it to get rich? Let's manipulate the stock market, turn invisible, rob a bank, throw on a glamour so the cops can't see us. Alice didn't ask for any of that. I showed her magic, and that was enough for her. She didn't instantly wonder what the magic could do for her. She loved magic itself, which meant that she could love me because I wasn't likely to make anyone rich. We hadn't been going out that long, and she wasn't sure about me yet. It didn't matter. I was already 9/10 in love with her and could wait for as long as it took her to come round. It took 2 more days. She showed up my door with a box from a rundown magic shop in Chinatown. I can do magic too, she said. Let's see. The magic box was about the size of 2 matchboxes. She lifted the top off. Her middle finger lay inside the box, wrapped in bloody cotton around the bottom. The finger wiggled, stiffened, and she held up her hand so the severed finger flipped me the bird. The cheapest of cheap gags. Of course she hadn't chopped her finger off. She'd slid it up through the hole in the bottom of the box that already had cotton and fake blood inside. It was about the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. I kissed her and took her inside. We never talked about her moving in. She just came in and never left. Because she knew this is where she should be. Later, when Alice and I were in bed and still drunk from our 1-month anniversary party, I told her that I had a dream where we were on a road trip, eating lunch in some anonymous little diner. She told the waitress that we were driving to Vegas to get married by an Elvis impersonator and held up her engagement ring for everyone to see. It was the magic store box still on her finger. When I finished telling her the story, she bit me lightly on the arm. See? I told you I could do magic. I snap awake at the sound of the door slamming downstairs. I sit up, relieved that the pain in my ribs is gone. The good feeling is short-lived, however, when I realize that the room looks like a bad night in a slaughterhouse. The bloody jacket and shirt are still on the floor where I dropped them. I'm covered in dried blood, a lot of which I've managed to smear in a crimson Rorschach blot all over the bed while I was asleep. I toss the jacket and shirt onto the dirty sheet, pull it up off the bed and onto the floor. In the bathroom, I use most of a roll of paper towels, scrubbing the blood off me. The bullet wounds are just black welts surrounded by psychedelic blue and purple bruises. If I twist in the right way, I can feel the 45 slugs nestled inside me, like marshmallows in a Jell-O salad. I'll probably have to do something about getting them out at some point, but not now. The wet paper towels I toss on the sheet with the bloody clothes. In a little storage cabinet under the sink, I find a roll of black plastic garbage bags, tear one off and stuff the bloody remains of last night's square dance inside. It hits me then that I still have a problem. I've just thrown away half of my clothes, leaving me with nothing to wear but taped together boots and scorched jeans, which are starting to crack and come apart in places. For a second, I consider stealing the shirt off Kasabian's body, but that's too disgusting even for me. Plus, opening the closet door would just start his head screaming again. I toss the room, tearing open boxes, looking for a lost and found or something one of the college kids might have left behind. I hit the jackpot. A whole box of store t-shirts is stuffed in the back under the work table. The shirts are black with Max Overdrive Video printed in big white letters on the back. Printed on the front is a fake store name tag that says, "Hi, my name is Max." Cute. I stand by the door for a second, listening to Allegra move around downstairs. I can almost see her in my mind's eye. She's young, bored, and annoyed at having to open the store so soon after Christmas. I get a sense of brains and something else, something she's trying not to think about as she straightens the shelves and counts the cash in the till. Quietly, I open the door and start down the stairs, then turn around and go right back up. The .45 and Brad Pitt's stun gun are lying on the floor. I stuff them under the mattress, then head back down. Allegra is by the door, backlit by the light through the window. She looks to be not much older than I was when I was carried off to Oz. Maybe old enough to drink, maybe not. She doesn't wear much makeup, black around her eyes, gloss on her lips. She's thin with darkish cafe au lait skin. She looked like Foxy Brown's little sister, except her head is shaved smooth. Her coat and skirt are thrift store hand-me-downs, but her boots look expensive. An art school girl with priorities. She looks up as I unlock the chain at the bottom of the stairs. Morning, you must be Allegra. Her head snaps in my direction. Who are you? Where's Mr. Kasabian? Kasabian had to leave town, some kind of family crisis. I'm an old friend. I'll be in charge of the place while he's gone. That wasn't the right thing to say. Allegra is angry. She tries to hide it with surprise, but doesn't pull it off. Really? She asks. Have you run a video store before? No. Ever run any kind of retail operation? I come up front and lean on the counter, checking the floor for blood as I go. Only a few drops that I can spot. I tend not to bleed for very long, and it looks like Brad Pitt's clothes soaked up most of what leaked out of me. Let me clarify. When I say I'll be in charge, that doesn't mean I'm going to actually be doing anything. I'll mostly be gone or working upstairs. Ah, she says, even colder than before. She knows exactly what Kasabian does up there and doesn't approve. An LA girl with a conscience. They're about as rare as unicorns. Not doing anything is Mr. Kasabian's management style, too. You'll fit right in. Her heartbeat kicks up and her pupils dilate. Why in the hell am I noticing these things? She frowns, looks down, then up at me. Please don't tell him I said that. Your secret is safe with me. Her breathing slows. She relaxes just a hair. Can I ask you a question? Sure. What the hell is wrong with your clothes? Yeah, I had a little accident coming into town, I say, giving her a sheepish grin. It's a look that girls used to like when I was young and not entirely unhandsome. Talking to a cute human girl that I might have flirted with in my former life, I forget for a second that I'm no longer young or handsome. I shift to what I hope was a more neutral expression. I might need to pick up some things. What do you think? Don't bother. I hear that arson is the new black. She crosses her arms, giving me her best defiant look. Stark. Stark? Just the one name then, like Madonna? Or Cher? Okay, Mr. Stark. No, Stark. No Mr. Just Stark. Okay, just Stark. Here's the thing. I quit. I can run this place in my sleep, but Mr. Kasabian obviously doesn't trust me enough, so he brings in some, if you'll excuse me, thug buddy to keep an eye on me? No fucking thanks. The last thing I'm here to do is keep an eye on you. The truth is, I don't have any place to stay, and Kasabian told me I could crash upstairs. The running the shop thing is purely honorary. As far as I'm concerned, you're in charge. Run the place any way you like. You still look like somebody I probably shouldn't know. Yeah, you said that. I take a step toward her, waiting to see if she'll take a step back. She doesn't. Nervous, but brave. I like her already. Listen, a thug is someone who's out for no one but himself. Me, I take care of my friends. Alice's face flashes in my brain, a reminder of how empty a promise like that can be. Good intentions and a dime won't get you a damn thing in this world. Reluctantly, I push Alice back into the dark. Stay here, and I guarantee that you'll work in the safest video store in LA. Gee, that's not at all terrifying. Also, whatever Kasabian has been paying you, I'll give you a 50% raise. Now I have her attention. You can do that? There's no one here to tell me I can't. I figure as long as I'm technically in charge, I can pay people whatever I like. When will Mr. Kasabian be back? I have no idea. You know how these family things are. It could be a while. She nods, looks down, then up at me. Okay, I'll stay for now. Hallelujah. Thank you, Allegra. You're welcome, Just Stark. I wait for an hour upstairs until the store fills with the lunch hour crowd. When there's enough ambient noise downstairs, I figure that I can check on Kasabian and be covered if he starts screaming again. He's right there, where I left him, on the shelf. When he sees me, he doesn't scream, he just moans. For Christ's sake, put a bullet in my head or change the goddamn channel. On the set, some daytime talk show is playing. An older guy in a suit and a bottle blonde are talking about an actress I never heard of and a pasta maker that's going to change everyone's life. Please, turn this shit off. I don't know. That sounds like one damn fine pasta maker. Fuck you. Do you have a car? He stares at the TV, ignoring me. I reach over and turn down the sound. The keys are in my right-hand pocket, he says. I tilt his comatose body to the side so I can reach into his pocket. Got him. What kind of a car is it? Give me back my body. Where's Mason? I don't know. I don't believe you. Trust me, if I knew where to send you to Mason, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Then I'd ask him to let me watch as he ripped your balls off. I turn the talk show back up and lock the closet door. Muffled profanity comes from inside. I grab the garbage with the bloody clothes and sheets and head down to the stairs, down to the store. Allegra and another kid are behind the counter, busy with customers. There's a rear exit to the store and a small storage room behind the porn section. I get out the black bone blade and try a trick that worked in hell. Placing the tip of the blade into the lock, I push it inside and turn. The lock clicks open. Behind the store is a short alley with a couple of dumpsters. I toss the garbage bag and head for the street. It's nice out, sunny but not yet hot. I feel a lot more human and settled today. Just another normal guy with a 45 tucked in the back of his jeans, out to run some errands. I counted Brad Pitt's money last night and it came to $2,200, so I'm sure I can get everything I need. I keep pressing the little unlock button on the keychain and my good mood evaporates when Kasabian's car finally chirps. A white Chevy Aveo with a dented trunk. Only rental companies buy white American cars, which means that not only is Kasabian's car a piece of shit, it's a used piece of shit. But who's more pathetic? The guy who drives a used piece of shit or the guy who steals it? So I think that's a good enough place to stop for today. It's Richard Kadrey's Sandman Slim. I like the book. It's a lot of fun. I think Kadrey's got a fun voice, so I think I'll probably keep reading this for a while. It's a pretty light and easy read. But I guess that's going to do it for tonight, so until tomorrow.